The Vice President of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, on Tuesday reiterated the President administration's resolve towards education reform prompted a significant rise in the budgetary allocation from 1.54 trillion naira in 2023 to 3.52 trillion naira this year. Shettima disclosed this in Abuja during the opening session of the maiden edition of the Nigeria Education Forum organized by the Nigerian Governors Forum, Federal Ministry of Education, the Committee of State, Commissioners of Education in Nigeria and partners. He, however, lamented that the number of out-of-school children in the country constitutes a national emergency, calling for collaboration between government and private sector stakeholders to address the problem. Rice News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to assess how the this will impact growth and provision of quality education to Nigerian children. Dayo Sobowale, always a pleasure to have you.
Good afternoon.
That's a pleasure. Yeah,
Good afternoon. So, what are your thoughts on this sudden allocation increment on the education sector, and how impactful you think? Is it enough, as it were?
Well, it can never be enough, one. And then just mentioning the figures and increment does not mean anything. It's a very sterile argument. It has to be comparative. What's the percentage to what transpired before? And according to the United Nations, UNESCO, you are supposed to allocate 15 to 20% of your budget, even going up to 26%. Ours has always been less than 10%. This particular one is 7%. So we are nowhere as it is, although they are applauding. But you see, if you look at money in terms of increment, you are not spraying money at a party, saying that you spend more at this party than at that. It must be productive. I'm not saying the money will not go anywhere. It will have some impact. But let's look at specifics.
Yes.
At tertiary education, you see, there's a provision that the states must make a contribution before drawing the money.
Yes.
Most of them don't draw that money because of that, because they don't want to allocate. Instead, they are building schools from their own budget, which at times they cannot maintain. But they want to show elements of improving education, which are like misinformation or fake news. So, you see, whilst I appreciate the information they have doled out, you look at the auspices of those organizing this forum. Governors Forum,
yes.
Ministries of Education, and I think a third layer of government. But you can see these are people in charge of education, who should be on the field practicing what they are criticizing.
Yeah.
They are not there. You see, you cannot have governors forum. Governors have budget for education.
True.
They should be telling us the problems they have there, not telling us why we are not moving forward. They should be given report on the budget allocations and the difficulties they have. But to get around a group of people, it's like a duplication or triplication of effort without any productive result. It is a dissipation of energy.
All right.
And it does not help us to move forward. Let's leave it at that for now.
Okay.
Mr. Sobowale, you led with this is a sterile argument. I appreciate the comparison of the 7% when you look at it in context with what UNESCO says which should be the ideal case. And when it comes to the concern shown by the Vice President regarding the number of out-of-school children, do you think he looked at all the factors that are contributing to that, especially when we look at insecurity? What are the real issues that he didn't address in this case?
You know, we have always discussed out-of-school children.
Yes, we have.
If we start on that, we'll forget this topic. You get me? We have a problem.
Yes.
We have the largest in Africa. 20 million people are out of school, according to UNESCO. And even in this lecture, which is extravagant, as far as I am, the forum is extravagant to implementing education policy. Even in this lecture, they mention so many things. But these are things that are functional responsibilities, which they should be in the field doing. Just like I said about security the other time, you have a security advisor organizing security conferences, when you should be in the field eliminating our enemies and restoring peace and stability to our communities. Yes, it's the aggression of energy diversion of resources. And they should take another look at it. Yes. And talking about out-of-school children, we voted a lot of money for that. But you know, like we have always discussed that, they are now asking that the private sector should intervene in taking care of out-of-school children. Whereas it was the private sector that owned mostly the schools and the farms that were driven out by the bandits and hoodlums who seized their farms and drove people out of their towns and villages. So it's not a well thought out position. It is not educative and productive for you to be telling us that government is spending more money when you are not showing what it is used for in relative terms and the results, the positive results of such expenditure. Yes.
It has always been part of the agitations by the members of the academia that enough has not been put into budgetary allocations over time. And when we see scenarios like this, do you think it's comforting for them as well regarding what you've just said? I mean, the amount being is like you just alluded to the fact that it's just like a drop in the ocean.
Yes.
It could be better than this, but we're not seeing that over time.
Better than this. But so, you see, you know the consequence of it.
Yeah.
The South will always be moving faster than the North in terms of education. That's it. Awolowo in the West, Nnamdi Azikiwe in the East, they focused on education. Even the first Prime Minister in Northern was a school teacher. They were school teachers. They wanted, if they could have their way, to hold the advancement of the Southern states in education so they could catch up. But you see, Southerners place more premium on education their children than, I would say, Northerners do. Because, invariably in the North, people pay more attention to Islamic education than to formal Western education. And what you have on Boko Haram even says no to Western education. So that's part of the problem. You see, they are faced. And the Northern governors should know what to do in each state. Not form a forum, not for holding endless conferences and using communiques that do not put development on the ground. Please, we should not, somebody should tell those in the education sector that they should not behave like the proverbial ostrich with the head buried in the sand. People know what is going on. And if you talk of security, you need security to have schools go on. You need security to have boarding houses to be protected. But now they are dismantling such things in the North now, saying people in the name of security go home. But even if you ask people to go home, you should make alternative provision to have them taught wherever they are. Because you cannot make education static. We are selling the future of generations and we are creating stagnation for your economic development as a nation. Let's leave it at that.
Mr. Sobowale, we know without saying that you are very passionate about education and we know you also emphasize on free education. But when you look at all these realities that you've painted about the current state of affairs, what are your projections for the coming year in terms of numbers? What the out-of-school children we might see, everything that is crucial. What do you see in the coming year?
You have to improve the insecurity situation. Let's improve that. And you have to find a way of closing schools, opening schools, not closing them. You should be able to secure your environment. After all, these governors have security votes.
That's right.
They have security votes. And we should not wait to hear news on social media, on the newspapers, that people are being killed here and there before government acts. I'm talking not only of, I'm not even talking of federal government, because the federal government is for the whole country. You have individual state governors, you have local government people. Let them find a way of securing their community at every level. That should be a way to do it. Even before democracy came in, we looked after ourselves traditionally or whatever. You secure your environment. It is a natural instinct in the human being. But with technologies, we should be able to do far more than we are doing. So that even the US is now scampering into our internal affairs, and we are almost happy for it. Yes.
All right, Mr. Sobowale, it's one thing to have these amounts being, established, but it's another to actually see the expenditures of what, how does it translate to development within the education sector? What has been spent on? Is it actually getting to those areas that need urgent attention? That's some of the questions.
You'll be surprised. You will see infrastructure on the ground. You see infrastructure on the ground. I will say you will see almost 60% of the infrastructure on the ground. But what of the maintenance? What of the continuation or the continuity in maintaining them? I see people have fanfares, the announcing budget every year. Yeah. Budget speech, you think it is a ceremonial party. But who monitors the implementation? Who supervises that they are seeing? There are institutions on the ground to do all this in almost all the states, ministries and so on. But at the end of the day, you see that the results are not tangible. Before implementation, you can attribute it to lack of knowledge or lack of experience, but then corruption too plays a major part.
Indeed.
Invariably, I won't say corruption is a part of so, but it's almost a permissive way of life in the way we do our things. And until we curb that habit, nasty habit, you will just be shouting at the stars when we talk of economic development.
Indeed. I'm barking at the moon like you usually say. Thank you so much for your thorough analysis, Mr. Dayo Sobowale. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much. Thank you.